right, lots of people out here today, but we're gonna see if we can't try it. I think I'm looking at water temperature here right in the middle of the lake is almost 82 degrees. The past few days have been really sunny, and the wind is finally laid down, which will help pick that water temperature up pretty quickly. The brim ought to be moving up. The crappie should be getting done with their spawn here pretty soon and heading right back out into deeper water, hitting the brush piles. At least the white crappie. A lot of the black crappie will stay up on some of the trees for a lot of the summer. Some of the bass do. But in general, most of them will run back out to the deep water. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm out here just looking around, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. If I can find some open spots, I'm gonna try to catch some bass. But I might stop at a brush pile or two, see if we can't start picking up some of these crappie that are heading back out. It's been slow so far. They just haven't done it yet. Everything's sort of delayed. Usually by now they're on them, but they're not there yet. So let's see what we can do. Fish seem to still be holding out on these deeper trees. Got a funny color pattern. Nice fish again. You know, guys, I'm fishing here in an area that I've never fished before. This thing almost swallowed it. I've never fished in this area before, but same conditions as everywhere else that I'm catching, so I decided to try. And it's working out. All right, guys, as a refresher, or if you're new, here in Lake Bistineau, moving into a summertime pattern, which is a different way of fishing than it is up in shallower water. In the spawn, you can get up into 3 feet of water and all the way up on the bank. Some of those fish stay behind, but the bulk of those fish move back out into the water that they were in whenever they were bulking up, getting ready for the spawn. And here, that's in about 6 feet of water in the trees, because the trees are the main cover on this lake. And they're in the middle of the day, especially when it's really sunny like it is today. It's 87 degrees. It's really sunny, no clouds, virtually no wind. It's very hot, it's bright outside. All the fish that I've caught today have been on the shaded side of the tree. And so you can pretty much bet, even if you threw several times around the same tree, the spot where you're going to catch the fish is right there in the shade. They're getting out of they're getting out of the sunlight, the direct sunlight. Fish don't have eyelids. This is what I've heard before. I don't know if this is true, but I know they don't have eyelids, but they like to get out of the sun so the sun is not shining directly at their face. And so that may well be the case, but for whatever reason, when the sun is out like that, they get into that shade, and that's where they sit. And they don't, in the middle of the day when it's really hot, they're not going to get out and chase a bait for a long way. So you have to sort of toss it out there to them and give it a chance to sink down. For here in 6 feet of water, I've got to wait 4 or 5 seconds at least to get that Senko to go down deep enough to catch that suspended fish. You know, shallower water, you throw it out pretty much when it hits the water, they're going to hit it. But you know, here you got to give it some time. So I hope that helps you out. By the way, I mentioned this in a previous video too, but this summertime pattern, they're sort of slow and sluggish. You got to get it into the shade, right? But in the evenings, everything changes. All bets are off, and they'll get into the more open water, chasing shad or brim or whatever's out there, and you can throw a frog, a lizard, fast-moving baits, and they'll chase it down to get it. But in the middle of the day, when the sun is up like it is right now, really bright, they're going to be on the shaded side of that tree, and they're just going to sit there. I haven't felt any of the fish hit today. They've just taken the bait in their mouth, probably not moving very much at all. In the evening, they'll hit it and run with it immediately, sort of competitively with the other bass that are in the area trying to feed them the same food source. So it's a different ball game. But in the middle of the day, you want to get out there, take your time, be slow about it, throw up there, let it sink down, and then move on to the next place. And if you know you can't afford to throw 3 times around every tree, you can see there's too many. So in the middle of the day when the sun is out, you want to just throw the shaded side of the tree and move on to the next one. Hey guys, this thing keeps cutting off on me. It's just so hot out here. Anyway, fish are everywhere in here. You're in that 6 feet of water. I did hook a fish pretty deep a bit ago, and so I started keeping a few just in case I need to keep that one. I'll see how it does in the live well. If he's fine at the end of the trip, I'll chunk him back in. But for now, I'm gonna throw a few in there just in case I have to keep that one. I hate to kill them for nothing. Man, they're in here. You just got to fish it real slow. I really like the summer pattern. Some people don't. Some people just prefer the spawn and they move on. But I really like the summer pattern because you have more options, more things that you can do. Like I said, you can go through these trees and fish really slowly. Take your time in doing that. You can come out in the evenings and fish really fast. You can do that in the mornings, fish really fast. With different style baits and everything. They tend to be just as aggressive as they are during the spawn, but just at different times of the day. So anyway, get out there and enjoy it. If anybody knows what to do about these GoPros getting hot out here in the sun, how to keep them cool, please let me know. I've caught about 10 or 12 fish, and I don't think I have but 3 or 4 recorded. But I had that problem before when I had batteries, but now I've got it plugged in, so I'm having to not charge it so that I can get something recorded here. It's just too hot. I happen to love it like this though, because they get, especially when the sun's up high and real hot like this, they get sucked up real tight to these trees. And you can throw right in that shadow like that and let that thing fall, and that's where I'm catching every one of them. It's a very definite place to throw to them, and again, this pattern is going to continue through the summer. And actually it's going to get even a little better, because some of the fish have just spawned and maybe not eaten real good yet, so once they all get to that point, it's going to be way better fishing. They'll be more aggressive. Again, in the middle of the day, they'll sit tight like that, but you know exactly where they are. One of the things that sets Bistineau off as a different kind of lake is the trees. You know, there are a lot of places where there are trees in the water, a lot of lakes, especially reservoirs, but the difference here is that there isn't much grass, and you can see there's some pennywort here and there floating around, other than the salvinia anyway, and they seem to like this stuff, but this is really the only cover. So if they're going to hit the shade, they're going to be in the shade around those trees. There's no way around that. That's where they're going to go. Again, in the evenings they sort of spread out, but you can use fast moving baits. Middle of the day, slow moving baits in the shade of the trees. What I'm doing, since this is an area that I've never fished before, is I'm making this sort of a zigzag pattern through these trees, trying to hit every tree in a certain area. And what I'm doing is marking the trees that I catch fish on, because in general, fish will be on those same trees again. And so what I'll try to do is cover this entire area eventually, even maybe if it takes over the summer, and then I can define from that point on the path that I want to take through these trees that's going to be most productive. If I'm fishing a tournament, if I need to try to catch a bunch of fish really quickly, that's the path that I can take to make that happen. If you want to expand your options on the lake you're on, try to spend some time fishing areas that you've never fished before. Like this for me, I do this periodically. I'll find to go to a new section I've not really fished before, an area that I likely idled through. I've idled through this area many times on my way to somewhere much shallower. And there's just a sea of these trees all in this same depth range. I could spend the entire summer just fishing this area and probably not hit all these trees. And so it just opens up a new possibility for you to try that, do something different, fish in an area that you've been idling through or you've been running by, because most likely it's not just you. Most people are probably doing the same thing, idling through there, running by, and bypassing this area, and it probably holds a lot of fish. And so go check it out and see what you can get. put some of the smaller ones in there with the one that was hurt. All right, guys. This is more of a normal Bistineau trip, in the numbers anyway. Not necessarily all the sizes. I did catch a few that were 4 or 5 pounds that I turned back, but this is getting to be more of a normal kind of trip here in Bistineau. Usually do pretty well. I'm probably not 200 yards from where I started, and I've caught probably a dozen fish. Most of them decent sized fish. Some of them 1 to 2 pound range, like that one there. I threw in there with the one that wasn't doing well, but I turned the 4 or 5 pounders back. But this pattern again. Alright guys, I'm probably going to have to just call it for the camera today. It's just too hot, and where I'm at, the sun is just beating down on it no matter what angle I get in here. So as I was saying, you know, these are quality fish, starting to catch some good quality fish. But the big deal is the numbers are picking up. You know, again, summer months, throwing up here inside the shade, that's where those fish are, and you're going to better pick off many of them doing that. So tight lines. Find you a place that you've not fished before, fish in that 6-foot water range, and throw in the shade. Take your time, get out there, and make it happen. All right? Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys next time. All right, guys, I'm headed back. Probably, well, for sure, it's the best trip that I've had this year. It might have been the best trip I've had in over a year, and then I've had problems with the camera, but it's the first part of May and everything's setting up for those summer patterns, and that's sort of my forte, flipping trees. And it worked out. I ended up hooking a few of them pretty deep, I think 2. So threw them in the live well to see if they were going to get any better. They weren't really doing that, so I started keeping a few. So I'm heading out now so I can deal with that. I kept my 10 just to put some up in the freezer, since I don't want them to die for nothing. But anyway, pretty good trip. I think I've caught probably 25 fish out here, 2.5 hours or something like that, and missed a few, lost a few. But again, summer pattern, water temperature is 80 degrees and up, and from here on out, this is where we are. So looking forward to it, and if you get the chance, get out and catch some.